Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. We're going to give folks a couple of minutes to arrive. There was pretty spectacular turnout for this webinar. So I think we should probably start at about 2 to 3 minutes after the hour. So give us a moment. Also, while we wait for that, after the last 2 years, I'm sure everyone is very familiar with Zoom, but we do encourage questions. There's a chat section and also a Q&A section. If you do have questions, definitely a little better in the Q&A, because then we can make sure we've answered them all. When we have a lot of people on the call, the chat tends to just kind of zoom by, and sometimes the question can be missed. But with the Q&A pop-up, it kind of leaves the question up until it gets answered. So it's a little easier for us to spot if there are any questions that we have not answered yet. We will also have time towards the end of the webinar for hopefully some wide open discussion and question and answers. But meanwhile, don't hesitate during the webinar as the questions come to you, because we're certainly here for that. Our agenda is pretty much at your service, and we know we're introducing a very kind of new product here. It only rolled out yesterday morning, so there are probably going to be a whole lot of questions about it, and that is to be expected and welcomed. So anyway, let's give it one more minute, and then we'll get started. Really looking forward to the call. We will also be recording the contents of the webinar, by the way. So that is something that we've been doing pretty routinely, and we will send out that recording to everybody that was registered. So don't worry if you don't have to take notes or anything like that. We will get this back to you. It looks like we're going to be doing a series of these for sure. This is really just the first webinar we've done for the general public, and already we're getting the sense that there will be continuing demand for this kind of information about the product, at least from an onboarding and info perspective. Like, people can go straight to the website. There's documentation on the website. There's information about the product, but there's no substitute for having somebody show it to you. And obviously at the levels that we're launching into here, it's not practical for us to do kind of one-on-one onboardings for every customer. So we appreciate everyone coming together for these calls. We will try to be alternating between afternoon and morning so that we can catch folks on the West Coast and Asia Pacific with afternoon calls such as this one, and then Europe and the East Coast with a morning call. So tomorrow morning, for instance, we have a call that's quite early, 7 a.m. East Coast time. And that is, I believe, 1 p.m. Central European time, for instance, for the folks in Germany or Eastern Europe, what have you. Okay, I think we're going to kick it off. Alex, do you want to say a few words before we get started?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alex Hamilton. I'm Vice President of Sales with Axle. And I think I'm really, really excited. This is, for us, a huge addition to our portfolio. Probably many of you are aware of our our flagship product, Axle.ai, and we're simultaneously announcing an update of that, and you'll be seeing that available very soon. But this step represents kind of a new step for us in several respects, because first, this is something that's in the cloud. Typically, we've been an on-premise, local storage, and some that works best for some people, but not so well for others. So this opens up, a new area for us and a way to approach the world of media management and stuff like that. And most importantly, it adds the ability for collaborative editing, right? And that is something that we think is just going to really blow it out of the water and stuff like that. You know, there's plenty of great editing tools out there. We're not out to replace Premiere Pro, Final Cut, Avid, those guys. That is not at all where we're at, but we want to get you to that stage faster and more, you know, working more easily with your colleagues. So with that, yeah, turn it back to you, or Sam, or over to Patrice. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Thank you.
I'll dive in. I've got a few slides. I'm not a big fan of big slideshows, and I suspect others aren't either. So I'll put up you know, a half dozen slides here, and we get on to the main event as soon as possible. One thing I should mention is that the new Axledit logo is part of a general rebranding at Axle. So if you go to the Axle.ai website, you will see the same font and the same kind of flying triangle icon. So that, and those will be common across our other products, including, for instance, Connector, our workflow automation tool. You know, we'll also have the same theme to it, and just be Axle Connector. And more about kind of the look and feel and branding of things as we go into this. Oh, yeah, later. All right.
You're in the last slide, Sam. You need to go back to the first slide.
Oh, I thought it was it's indistinguishable from the first slide. Okay, good point. Thank you. So many of you are familiar with us over the last few years. We've actually been attacking this problem for 10 years, which is that you know, finding video clips is a needle in a haystack problem. Throughout the industry, there are problems of local storage silos that, you know, often consist of hard drives on a shelf, but even when they consist of network storage, they are hard to search and harder to leverage if you're trying to put together a project. And there are estimates that up to 40% of a typical editor's time is spent just trying to find the right footage. So we're already solving what we feel is an important problem. The one thing that we've heard very consistently is that people would like that next step covered of not only being able to find a bunch of clips, but then start to put them together into a timeline. Over the last decade, we've managed to amass some really great customers and really fantastic momentum to our business. We now have over 800 customers worldwide, including the logos that you see here. And interestingly, we are not an enterprise solution. Our product is more often used at the work group level. So typically anywhere from 3 to 30 people. And we have seen a trend in the last couple of years for larger deployments. And for instance, late last year, we did one for a large Asian broadcaster that consists of 14 sites with Axle that are all synchronized and also synchronized to a cloud backend. So it's still theoretically work group, but it's getting pretty dangerously close to enterprise in terms of how it's used. I will say that many of the true enterprise broadcasters you see on this list, you know, they have a larger MAM type system, and our product is typically used at an individual show or department, things like promotions, stuff like that. So there is not a story for us as like taking over the world, especially from the larger vendors. But it's also been interesting the last couple of years that many of those vendors have been acquired. We count 15 in the last year, you know, and with all those vendors and potential, I suppose, competitors of ours being acquired, it does create some opportunities for us to kind of expand the definition of what we do. One of the other clear trends we've seen during COVID is that many of our customers switched to remote or hybrid remote workflows. This example with American Public Television is typical. They had to switch over to remote within 36 hours when COVID first hit, and they've been really using it as the backbone of their work ever since. When they first bought Axle, which was actually before COVID, they thought it was a cool, nice to have kind of thing that would save them a little bit of time finding their media, but it became indispensable when they were all working from home. This is our team, and we've got most of the folks here on the line. We're also joined, by the way, by Rachel, who's our operations head. Now, the big thing here, many of you know us already because we've been with Axle for many years, but the new thing is the fact that we are now up to 35 full-time people worldwide, and that number is continuing to grow. So it's a bigger company. You know, you may remember meeting us at IBC or NAB, and there were maybe 4 or 5 people, and that was kind of the whole company. But because of the growth in our business and the growth in demand for this type of solution, we've been able to expand quite rapidly, not only on the product development side, but also on the customer facing side and in our ability to partner with other technology companies and resellers. So there are dedicated people on our team now, for instance, for channel development, for regional development, and they can get you demos. They can, you know, hook you up with the right people in their regions. And hopefully we can create a very smooth onboarding experience for new customers. So the bigger picture is, as we were solving the search problem, and we do think we have a pretty great solution for that, editing came up more and more. We already have very slick panels for Adobe Premiere and After Effects, and we have very effective workflows for Final Cut and for Avid Media Composer. But what people were saying was, I'd love to be able to do a rough cut. I'd love to be able to drag things in my browser without leaving my browser and put something quick together for YouTube or for Vimeo. And that just wasn't there before. We saw it as a clear need, but it was going to take some work to build it. And so over time, we were able to develop the right solution to that, and that is Axledit. So Axledit is a hybrid of a media management backend with an NLE-based editor, and they all run in a single browser window that is also quite portable. Mac, PC, works with a variety of current browsers. And there are a few minor incompatibilities. For instance, Safari does not support some of the color adjustments that are supported in Axledit. But for the most part, all of the modern browsers are supported. So you can just log in. You can even log in from an iPad. And there's a whole review and approval cycle, which, while perhaps not quite as elaborate as Frame.io's, is built in and gives you a huge amount of control over client reviews. So it's a pretty awesome thing. And the pricing also is fairly revolutionary for us. Historically, Axle products have always cost at least a couple $1,000s. And you know, the entry price, you know, typically involves, you have to get our software, you have to load it. In the early days, it was Mac Minis. More recently, it's more powerful Macs and even the Linux boxes that many of our customers have to run Axle. But that's a pretty big hurdle. You can't just like wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to try this. But with Axledit, you can do exactly that. And there are free $10 a month and $50 a month tiers, and they're all fairly full featured. So it's not like we've kind of you know, handicapped one of them to the point where it's not usable. It's really geared towards the amount of content that you're using, and to some extent features like which outputs you want to publish to. So with that, I am going to hand things over to Patrice, and he will give you a walkthrough of Axledit. And I already see a bunch of items in the chat, so I'm going to switch gears and start answering those, hopefully in real time or close to real time, while Patrice is doing the demo. Thanks so much, everybody, and I'll probably swing back onto the line towards the end as we discuss some of the Q&A.
Great, thank you, Sam, and that. It's a great turnout. Thank you very much all for showing up. We are very excited to show you Axledit. And without further ado, let me start sharing my screen. And I would encourage you at any point during the demo to ask your question in the Q&A section. Happy to actually divert a little bit what we are showing and make sure we can answer every questions. So this is the website, axledit.com. You can sign up easily. Once you have verified your email, you will be in. Let me log in. And the first thing you're going to see once you log in will be a little dashboard. And this little dashboard here will show me a couple of things. First will be what we call the workspaces here in the bottom left corner. And these workspaces, think of them as personal space. if I am a video editor working for Pepsi or for Coke, this is how I would split the two. I will have one workspace for Pepsi, one workspace for Coke, or in this case, I have one workspace for Axel and one personal workspace, which I will use to just post pictures and videos of my little one to share with my family. So I'm going back now to the home page. And on the right side, you have the review links. So I saw a little question about frame.io. We are also providing review and approval workflows within Axledit. And I will show you that in a second. But basically, these links will allow me to view different assets live or even different versions, comment and approve. So let me just jump right now to this Axle.ai workspace where I have a little bit everything. One thing to note, yeah, Tim, it will work on any browser, any HTML5 compliant browsers. So you have on the top in the right side here, the different interfaces. The first one will be files, which will be the media management aspect. So if you think about it, when you take your phone and you look for a picture, you will often try to find it using keywords, location, or face recognition, and so on. So you're not going to scroll through all your pictures on your phone to find the picture you need. So you already are familiar with media management. Without really thinking about it, you have it on your phone or iPad. Or tablet, should I say. And we do the exact same thing where I will be able to organize per project the file that I would need. And let's do a new project called Wednesday. And now I have this new project to which I can upload my files. And I'm just going to take a small movie here, just so we do not wait too long. But here's the upload going. And whenever the upload is done, it will start to create the preview. So that is the creation of the project, upload. I can also, by right-clicking, add a folder and move content within this folder or upload directly inside this folder. Now, what I'm going to do is jump to a project that is a little bit more full for the purpose of the demo. So going back to this project called Catalog One, you will see the content that I have, different videos that I can scrub through and preview. And I'm going to jump to this video here. When I double click, I will access the video preview. I will easily be able to scrub through the video, play the video, and I will also be able to enter tags to this video. So I will, for example, say screen recording, etc. And I will save it. And so now this will become searchable. So I can enter tags, and we have also basic information available for this video. So that's the right side. What I can also do is post comments on the timeline. So let's say that I'm going to mark in here, and I'm going to go here and mark out. I can also change by dragging. I will be able to leave a comment. Use this part, for example. And this comment now is appearing within my video timeline. And what is great is it's actually a way to communicate directly with editors or collaborators or clients. So what I'm going to do here is jump to the comments on the right side, where you will see that I have used this part. I can easily reply. So you can have threaded comments. And you have also this little checkbox that will tell me whether or not the task has been completed. I can also, jumping here, use the log notes. So this will be different information as and comments, not comments, but data associated to the timeline. And this will become searchable. This will not be tasks. This will be metadata associated to the timeline of the video that I will then be able to search. Use thumbnails, for example. And now if I go to the logging, you will see that I have the information shown here, and that will become searchable. What is neat is I can actually click on it and already have the in and out point pre-selected for whatever I need to use. And lastly, we have the usage here where you can see whether or not the clip has been sent to be via shared link or to a sequence. So that's the media aspect management. I can create also my own set of data fields that I can update, such as a drop-down menu, keywords, date aspects, also location, etc. So I can create my own set of data fields that I can then use to tag. Now that was browsing, searching, finding. So if I do car shoot.
By the way, Patrice, there was a question just
Yeah.
then about whether folder names or tags import with source ingest. So if you bring in files, can you bring in an entire folder? And then is there any way to bring in tags currently?
Like tags that are pre-existing?
Yeah, like in Premiere or I don't know.
That is a very good question. There is an API, so there is a way to create a uploader that is going to feed this information upon upload. By default here, no. If I were to start to upload, we are not going to seek tags or anything else. So, but because there is a whole API, including the upload functions, which is using all the AWS standards, you will be able to create such ingest mechanism if you need to. If we need something more, happy to discuss and see how we can actually standardize this if the tags were to be standard, such as, I don't know, let's say the XMP Dublin core metadata or something along those lines. This tag that you see will be collections, which will be meant to actually jump directly to clips that share the same tag. So if I were to go and I will take these two clip, let's also take this iceberg and video just so we can see different one. And I will add tags. I will, for example, add, planet, submit. So now these files have been tagged with planet, which means that going back here, I can right click, create a new collection that I will call it, demo 1 or 2 rather. And we are going to use the tag planet, which now each asset that have the tag planet will be shown here. So I can quickly create collections within my media management tool so I can find what I need. And that comes very handy if I have to prepare a list of shots for when I come to edit. So now let's jump to the video editor. That's what we have all been waiting for here. So let's jump into it. And I'm going to go back to the catalog. And what I'm going to do is actually create a new sequence. And we are going to call it Wednesday or Wednesday. There we go. You can change the setting. You can even have vertical dimensions for if you want to post it on TikTok or other social media. And you can then, when you're ready for the sequence, you will be able to have that. I see a question about taking the 511 audio. So yes, you can import it. Right now, the exports solely support the export from Axledit supports stereos, but at the end of the day, you can from your NLE export an XML for your NLE of choice with the high res, and you can resolve the audio back then. Very good question, thank you. So here is my sequence, and I have multiple video and audio tracks, and I can create as many as I want. Now, remember when I was talking about flipping through your phone to find the media? Let's imagine for a second that I have to actually go through and flip to find all the content that I need. That is really not practical. This is why the integration with media asset management is very important here. And that is key to the feature set that we have. So if I were to search for car shoot, I will be able to start to find the media that I need. I only have a couple of them. And I can go start to look and edit. And I can double click on it. And remember when I talked about the log notes or the comments? So if, for example, here I was asking something in particular, I can click on it and I have my in and out points ready to go. And I can drag it straight into my timeline. Now, what is happening is what you have uploaded is your high res. It can be 4K, 8K, 1080p. You can have all the footage that you want. But what I am editing from are special editing proxies that we create for Axledit, which means that the playback is very smooth even over Wi-Fi. That means that if I have 8K, I do not rely on massive CPU and GPU, but rather I can edit straight from my 8K footage. And at the end of the day, when I export, you will be able, it will render from the in and out points. I have a question whether or not you can create different values for the sequence. Currently, no, but that's something that will not be too difficult to set. So we can definitely look into that as an additional feature. That's a great question. Thank you. That's a very good feature that should not be too difficult to add. So we are going to look into that. Excellent. So now going through, I can play back and I can go back to my car shoot or perform another search and continue to do anything. So let's say that I'm going through and I want to add a second clip. And I can bring the whole clip over. So we have the car with, and you can update the in and out point, you can move. I can add more video and audio tracks if I needed to continue to do any kind of other things. What I can also do is let's actually flip that one over here. And we're going to move that. I can click on this effects button here, and I can start to actually do very interesting things straight from the browser. One will be resizing, move it around. And I'm going to close the filters here and look at actually how smooth and direct the playback is. I do not need to wait for a render, and I can continue. And then I can go to the effects and transitions here. And for example, say, let's add some dissolve effect. And I can also change the duration. And so now it's disappearing slowly. Again, no need to wait. So that's the video editor, and I can snap it back together. We have the undo, redo button. We support JKL keys and many other keys that you can actually see by actually seeing the guide right here. But what I'm going to do right now is open another browser, because why will I need that in the cloud? I can already do all of that with Premiere, with Final Cut Pro. So why would I need that in the cloud? Well, the key here is we want to bring collaboration into play. You have a lot more teams that are decentralized. Like if you look at everybody's background in the webcams that you have here, we are all in part of the same company, but we are all in a different location. So how can, for example, me and Sam work together on this video project? So what I'm going to do is open another browser window, go again to Axledit, but I'm going to log in as a different user. And this different user will have the same dashboard that I have showed you earlier with all the review link that I asked this person to check. And it will have access to the Axle.ai workspace. Notice that my personal workspace has not been shared with this particular person. So you can easily split who have access to what. So I'm going to jump into the workspace, and you will see at the top right here that I have multiple users connected. Because I always land directly in the recent files, I will see what has been changed recently. So I will see that I have these clips that have been tagged recently. I will see the collection that I have created, and I will see the sequence. And I'm going to go through the sequence right now. That's the warning that Sam was talking about. You can fully edit with Safari. What you will not have is the color correction rendering. So I'm going to click OK. And now on the timeline, you will see that I have 2 people connected here, which means that I can start to scrub and see the sequence. Now I am going to move back into Chrome here. And you will see that right here, I have where the other person is scrubbing. Let me zoom out a little bit, where this other person is, which means that we can both see the sequence together live. Going back to Safari, you will see where I am. So this other user can see where I am. Now, let's say that this user wants something specific. I'm going to move here and say, OK, cut right here. I can make a comment straight right here and say, cut and move to next scene. Submit. Now I will have a little mark here made by this person. I'm going to move to back to Chrome, and you will see that I can see again where the person is, and I can see the little mark and the task that has been assigned to me. So let's actually go here. Okay, we are going to actually change that. I'm going to reduce it and cut it right here and move on to the next scene. And now we'll go back to my car shoots. You see how it's important to be able to search while you edit. And we are going to move to the next scene, and I'm just going to take, here we go, smiling right here. Quick note, a cool feature is you can use the INO keys for in and out points, and you can do it straight from the scrubbing of the thumbnail. So I do not need to necessarily open the clip. And I will bring the clip right here. Boom. Alrighty. That now I can review, it's done. And guess what? The other person, if I go back to Chrome, will see the changes live. So the changes that I made are appearing in a sequence. Moving back here, I'm going to say that I have completed this task and going to click and move on. So here I am. And what I'm going to do now is log the sequence. It's important to still remain controlled and not give too much control to other users. I can have 3, 5, 6 people connected to this sequence. So we want to actually be careful. So I'm going to lock it right here, which means that this person now going back to Safari will not be able to change anything in a sequence. You will see that I have a little red lock. But any changes I make will still be visible to this person. So, and this person can continue to post comments and tasks. So it's almost become like a direct producer and producer and editor back and forth without the need to constantly make renders, upload it to Dropbox or any other cloud platform that you can have, wait for the response by email, and so on. So that's a couple aspects. Let's just do a couple more things here that I want to show you. So I showed you the transition and the effects. Let's just go back here and show you the color correction. So if I click on color, I can easily change the color and the hue. What I'm going to do is just bring it straight to grayscale, for example. And here we go. Again, no wait for the render. It's all coming straight live into the browser. And I'm going to show you some effects that we do have: the cropping, flip, the usual suspects, but the color key, which is pretty cool because if I wanted to add something such as a subscribe button title that I have here, and I will add it back here, I'm going to reduce it to here, I will be able to start to apply the color key. and boom, it's already there. Oh, I can still see some green here. So let's actually go into my effects, check the filters, and I will see that I can actually start to make some changes to my filter and blend it more so that we do not see the green as much.
Patrice, there is a question about live editing and whether, rather than having comments go back and forth, whether there could be a little chat window or something like that.
That's a very good point. We should definitely, we do not have that, but that's actually a great feature that we are going to make note.
Yeah.
There are plans to actually integrate with Zapier, just to let you know, guys. So if you want to have direct integration with Slack or your preferred chat mechanism, there is something that we could potentially do as well. Great. Excellent. So, and now I can go and change the scale and everything else and move it around here, for example. And so here we go. I have my editing happening. So it's all powerful or great. We do have.
Sorry, one other request. Is it possible to display milliseconds instead of frames in the time code?
Oh, that's a very good point. Okay. We can see if we can do that. No, we cannot. No, it's only the frame. It's only a SMT time code.
These are great suggestions.
They
Yeah,
are
I hope
indeed.
somebody's taking notes. I'm just getting out my notebook here, just starting to write things down. It's like, uh-oh.
It's okay. I will have my list of post-it notes just like here. Great, guys. I keep them coming. I love it. So we are seeing all of that. Let me show you now my favorite feature of all here, which is I come the next day and we have actually something else that we want to do in this sequence. And we are not sure if we will want to keep it or not. So typically you want to make a new version. So I'm going to click on these three dots and I'm going to save a new version of this sequence. And now I have version 2 and version 1 available. Doing so will automatically release the sequence for the other user that I have locked. Now I have back access to the editing of the sequence. So this person can work on version 1 while I work on version 2. And we can have all the back and forth in the world, which means that any changes I make, such as looking for stock media that we provide. And there we go. I have this little brush here that we are going to use. I'm going to actually add a new video track and bring it over here. And here we go. Now, even though we are importing the media and grabbing it into our cloud infrastructure, I can still use the proxy to edit, as you can see. And I can still apply the filters. So there is no need to wait anymore. So if I wanted to add again the key, so it's not green, obviously, so I will need to actually make some quick changes. Remember that by clicking on effects, I can jump here and I can change the color. Let's take the color picker. I'm going to take the black one here and boom. Again, no render necessary, no waiting. So we have all of that showing up and moving on. We can even add some dissolve just to make it look better. There we go. So we have done the editing. I'm doing all of that. Version 1 remained intact. And that is actually key here. So that means that I can go back and forth between the different versions. I think you got the idea that we provide a lot of professional tools within our web-based video editor. It's not, as Sam and Alex pointed out, really meant to fully replace professional solutions such as Adobe Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, or Media Composer. But it's a great tool to have a collection of assets available globally across the globe, thanks to the cloud, having the possibility to put together a rough cut editing. And at the end of the day, if I need to, I can then export either my EDL or my XML back to my video editing, or we can export the video. Let's go back to the recent. Now this video is being rendered. So, and that will be already stored in the cloud. What I'm going to do now is, while we wait for this to be rendered, we are going to look at the review links. I have an inbox with the review links from these other users. I have mine that I have created. You can see that I've used extensively. Let's go back to the file views and say, for example, that I wanted to share this clip. Actually, we are going to share multiple. We are going to take this clip, by pressing the command key. I can select multiple files and this clip, and we are going to share. Right click. We are going to share this clip. I can also download if I have to. So if I am somewhere else and I need to download this clip, I'll be able to download them. Or if I have to resolve the XML path for my NLE, I will be able to download them. I'm going to create a shared link, and I'm going to call it Wednesday demo. And can add a description, can change the background color. Let's put some light blue. And more importantly, I can change the permission level that I have to. I can also restrict to only the people I want to invite to invite the link, meaning that it will not be public. And I can set an expiration date, say, for example, Monday. I can add team member. And I can even invite clients. I can invite Sam, for example, if I wanted to. This is his email address. Feel free to ask any questions. It's always our first name at axle.ai, so you can easily reach. And I'm going to create the link. And here is the link showing up. Let's see what it will look like. I copy the link over, open a new tab in my browser, and I will jump. And now I will be able to see everything and preview, and again, post the different comments and everything else. I would say, new task here. And because I asked for a new task, I'm going to reject it. Oh, it's already rejected, so we're going to leave it rejected. And I go back.
Patrice,
and
we have a question about with review. Can you set it that people can only view clips but not download? And if you can download,
absolutely.
Can you specify whether it's high res, proxy, or both?
Okay, so at the moment, if you want to download the proxy, you will probably need to use the browser aspect. Oh, actually, it's blocked. So now we cannot choose a proxy. It can only be the high res right now. So that's a good point to limit. Restrict download to proxy. You can though change the settings. Oh yeah.
No, we're getting questions fast and furious. Sorry.
Oh, nice. That's great. You can edit. So what I'm going to do is go to the third interface here, which will be all the review links that I have created. And I will look at the one that I just created, and I can edit, and you will see the level of permission that you have where I can remove the downloads here. I can also prevent a person from seeing the older versions. I only see the new versions if I wanted to. There is a lot of things that you can do. Going back here. So you have the different review link. And what I'm going to do now is close and go back to this other the other user, going back to Safari, where you will see that I received an alert. I receive a little one here, the little notification, as well as here to tell me that I have a new link that I will need to review. From there, I can view the link if I wanted to, or did I just remove the download? So we are just going to post a comment then. Hello, Planet, and there we go. So I can leave comments. Again, they become tasks, which as another person, I can go review them and reply. So that's the very cool aspect. And I'm going to close now this browser, minimize Safari, and go back to Chrome. Going back to my review link here, you will see that I can view the link, I can change it as we have seen, but I have also a report. And this report will allow me to see whom, and you will see that out of everybody, we have only 2 people that have seen it. More importantly, I'm going to check the activity and see what is happening. And if you see that, you will see whom have posted comments and who that downloaded the clips. So you have a full report of what you're doing. So picture this now. In the past, when you had links to videos to be reviewed, you will need to render them in-house, upload them, send the link by email or other means, wait for the reply and edit, make your edit, upload them, and so on. Now you can do all of that in the cloud directly. No need to actually edit in your video editor. You just use Axledit to make all the edits possible. And then back and forth come from here. So that's the review links and the report that we have seen. And last but not least, we have the publishing. I can set myself with YouTube, Vimeo, and we are looking at adding other social media platforms where I'll be able to publish. Let's go back. That's my video that I've just finished to publish here, that the render. You will see that everything has been rendered to the specs that I wanted. So I am going to now publish this clip. Right click, publish to YouTube. Give a name, description, keep it to private. I can even choose the date I want to publish it, send, and now it's being published. And just like the other clip, when it is ready, you will see the little publish tab shown right here. There we go. Now it is being published. Let's go back to this publishing aspect where you will see that the one I have just published right now, webinar V2. That was yesterday, today. And I can see the report, have the link on YouTube, have how many views, likes, comments, share, and whatnot. So I have a whole report back on that from my YouTube. So if I wanted to check the link, I'm going to take one that was done yesterday. So we do not wait for YouTube to render the video. Here's the link in my YouTube now. So that was the publishing aspect. I see a lot of questions whether or not there are effects. There are a couple of effects, and we are looking at adding more effects. So let me go back to the video editor, and I'm going to take back my sequence. If I were to go back to the effects here, you will see that we have the cropping, flipping, animated zoom that will be able to actually zoom in and out based on the time, and the color key. These are the only effects. You have also the generator where you can actually add the text and so on. In terms of lower third, other effects and background, we have the stock media here available by clicking here, where I would be able to get some specific lower third. So if I wanted to add a lower third right here, here's my lower third appearing. I'll be able to then add my text. And add some effects. So I will be able to move my text around, so change everything I need. We are going to pick the color again right here for the text. And there we go. We're going to change the scaling. I wanted to move it around. And here we go. So we can have the text and even add some transition to make it appear as this one appear as well. So this is how you would do it. This is how you would do it.
We had
So
a question about slow-mo, Patrice. Any way to adjust the speed of playback?
No, that's a very good feature actually, but that's something that we are looking into having. Yes, it will be most likely back here where you change the opacity. Yeah, and I use that a lot.
Okay, so we have a request for slow-mo. We have a request for blocking and blurring, for compliance editing.
Absolutely.
We need to hide logos and whatnot.
Absolutely, yes. A special mask for blur effects. Yep, that's also in a hopper. That's a very great features. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Unless so we have that. Unless let me talk about the roles and what we can do. I can have multiple users in my workspace, as you can see here, and they will have different roles. How will I define the roles? Well, I'm going to create a new role called demo producer. Force of habit to not put space. I can choose its level of permissions. I will not want him to move the files, no delete, hell no, but we are going to let him upload the footage he wants. We don't want for the person to edit the sequence, but view the sequence. And we can restrict also the sharing and review aspect. And we are going to do that. Now, each user that I have, going back here, if I were to take, for example, this user that I've been using often, you will see that I can add different projects. That's one thing I did not show you. Take a step back here. All the projects I have created here. If I go back to this person, you will see that I have only access to 3 projects of the many that I have. Let's say that I wanted to add this person to the Wednesday project with only the new roles that I have set. This is something I can do. Back to the settings for the user, edit. I will add a new project, Wednesday, and I will choose the role. And that's it. That's how you can restrict. So suddenly the relationship of producer and editor, if you do not want to constantly have to lock your sequence, you can actually set a role for the person who will log in, would be able to actually just see the sequence. So again, no need to upload and wait and so on. And if you want to actually have a review of the final export, you can wait for the preview to be done, export the link, share the link with somebody, with an outside collaborator to review, comment, and so on. This is where we create the metadata. I can create multiple groups. So if I wanted to create a new group called webinar, and I would say, for example, for this webinar, I'm going to add a new field, for example, attendees. And I will choose the type of metadata, text. And we are going to add a webinar date. And here we go. Another new field, etc., etc. What is cool having the group, it means that I can have multiple collections of data, which will make it easy for whatever I want to do to tag. As you can see, I can only access what I need. I see a question about audio mix, a very good question. So let's actually quickly jump back. There are features that we will definitely need to be adding, but if I wanted to go back to the sequence that I've been working on, or any sequence, in terms of video control, I have the possibility to change the gain, left and right panel, and then add crossfade transition, where I will be able to, if I zoom in, again, change when the fade is in and out. So this is the level of control we currently have. A quick reminder that currently we only export stereo, but again, this is something that we are hoping to expand. But because we work off the high res, whenever I export my XML or bring the sequence back to my NLE of choice, you will have all the audio track. Alrighty, so that was a very in-depth demo. We have 5 minutes, and I want to make sure we answer every question we have. We have about 5 minutes left, but keep them coming. I love the feature requests, guys. Thank you very much. This is great, great stuff. Oh yes, so Jeff is asking if the audio can be detached from the video. Absolutely. So let me actually, that's a great point, Jeff. Let me go back to talk about the couple buttons we have. So that's the undo button, the redo button. Let me tell you, that was an engineering feast to actually get that sorted out when you have 3, 4, 5 people in the sequence, knowing whom is undoing what. So in any case, so you have that. You have jumped directly to the, select all the media straight from my point. You have obviously the cut, so I can cut here. Now, I have the magnet, which if I uncheck it, I suddenly have the control to move left and right. And last but not least, that's your question, was untying. Here's how I will untie audio and video by clicking this link, the link clip section. So hopefully that answered your question. You have the scrolling. You can use the JKL keys to have different playback speed, just like you will expect from any NLE. And you can use the arrow keys to move frame by frame. Great question. The export setting.
Yeah, the export settings. Yeah, I was gonna ask.
So we are in a process of adding Ultra HD. So that's a very good point, Nick. We want to also add that. Right now, the export level will be for what you have in your sequence, and the maximum is sequence settings rather. The maximum is currently 1080p. So that's what we are exporting, but we are looking into having the 4K. That being said, you can bring Ultra HD footage, edit from it, and bring back the sequence into your NLE of choice. So again, you can still do the rough cut editing. You can still collaborate, preview, comment, annotate, do everything in the cloud. And when finally comes the time to finish up everything, you can then bring your EDL or XML back into your NLE to really finalize everything. Have all the audio channels, have the Ultra HD or the other sequence and codec. These are great questions, guys. I love it. But we are looking into having direct.
How do you
4K.
specify the export codec as opposed to the bitrate and the
there is no
aspect ratio?
specification. We just stick to standard 1080p. So if I
Right,
go
but
to the
I mean, like
sequence
if you
settings,
want it as ProRes or a particular flavor of ProRes, does it let you do that?
there is no that. No, we do not have this selection of codec. This is something we can do as well. But
Definitely,
right now
yeah.
we have just H.264.
Yep. Awesome questions, though. We've had like more than 30 questions total between the Q&A and the chat session. So, another one. Does metadata from an Axle catalog flow into the clip? That's a really good question. So the way that this queries Axle, and by Axle I mean our traditional, if you will, on-premise or cloud servers, is that it treats it like another data source. So right now, this is a little bit outside of Axle. One of our goals for the next year is to kind of do a mashup where you have one system that has the best of both. But right now, it just treats it like a data source. And you can search the metadata from Axle using, it's basically an API level integration. And then you can also bring across media. So this is still early. I mean, again, you're going to see a lot more in this area because obviously our existing Axle customers are among the best candidates for a tool like this. And you can imagine, say, a movie studio that wanted all this functionality, but wanted it all in-house and didn't want anything on the private cloud. So it only makes sense for us to kind of merge the functions over time. But right now, it works the way Patrice is showing, where essentially the Axle catalog shows up on the left side. You can search metadata from within it and then bring those into essentially an area for editing or even straight into the timeline in Axle Edit.
Yeah. That's
what's new with Axle? That's a great question. Actually, so yes, with the 2 minutes remaining, can you show that we have a matching look and feel version of axle.ai? And so it looks a lot like Axle Edit, but it doesn't yet have the editing features. Very, very similar in terms of the CSS and the style. So a big step up, and primarily dark themed compared to our earlier versions. The functionality, the biggest news is that we have more AI engines. So in addition to the speech transcription and the face recognition that we added late last year, we are now adding logo recognition and object recognition as well. And those are all super affordable compared to what Microsoft or Google would charge you for those. How much of the regular Axle feature set is included in Axle Edit? It's a little bit of a Venn diagram right now. There's probably 80% in common, but then, on the outside edges, there's 20% that is not covered. And examples of that are that this does not catalog your on-premise storage right now. It's cloud only. But again, as we merge in the axle.ai on-premise functionality, we'll be bringing that in. It is 3 o'clock. We can keep going, though. These are great questions. So for those of you that, are on time constraints, thank you again for joining us. This has been just amazing. And feel free to try out the site. It's just www.axledit.com. And as Patrice pointed out, you can just email us. I'm Sam at Axle.ai. He's Patrice at Axle.ai, etc.
Okay.
So, but meanwhile, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we have a question from Brandon who says that it has already media available in AWS. How can we tie it in?
Yeah.
This is something that we are actually looking into also too. Also, one thing is AWS, while very powerful, available globally and very fast, it's a bit pricey compared to other solutions. So we are looking into having some sort of another cloud tier for archival, which will be able to directly push the media that we are not using to. That will lower the cost, and that will also let you have a lot more of your media in the cloud. And whenever you need it, you can record it. So that's one aspect. Also, there is the possibility again. So if you have already ties with your AWS bucket, we can look into having a direct integration there. That will not be the lower tiers plans. That will be more into the enterprise aspect, but that's there is an enterprise plan, including the possibility that will not be again the lower tier price plan, but the possibility to spin your own EC2 instance of Axledit. So you're completely off the multi-tenant server. So there are a lot of options here. Great questions.
And there was a question about, yes, Axle speech and is now supporting a better punctuation,
Yes.
capitals. Yes, it's gotten a lot better in the last
Yes.
year, and we'll continue
And names now. We have names and we have more languages, including if you look at the French, it will also offer you a French Canadian as well. Still working on the accuracy there, but you have this option. But yes, that's a great point. And that is one thing we are going to also want to include within Axledit, the possibility to live caption using a scribe. Great questions. This is so awesome. I love it. Any other questions?
Really fantastic session. You know, I think it probably makes sense. Oh, would it be possible to use other cloud storage providers? That's what Patrice was just mentioning.
Yeah.
At the moment, the main compute and kind of work in progress does need to be in AWS, but we are looking at decoupling that so that we could run it on, you know, a more generic compute backbone and storage backbone. And the first step there is going to be pushing the second tier storage, the archival and nearline storage to third-party providers. We have a great relationship with Seagate over Live Cloud. And of course, there's folks like Backblaze and Wasabi out there. So expect to see a little more choice in the, particularly in the extended storage spaces, but eventually really in the whole thing if possible.
Yeah.
And then another question, it would be great if live captioning could then be edited, generate
Yes.
SRT files for closed captioning. This is possible in Axle.ai on premise, and we are bringing that feature set over to this in the coming months.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is great, guy. This is great.
Yeah. Super. Yeah, we agree. I mean, the whole captioning workflow also, if it's editable, like in Axle.ai, when you edit captions, you know, you can have people log in, watch the video, edit the captions while the video is playing, pause it. No reason we cannot bring that workflow here, and we expect to over time.
Great.
All right, going once, going. I mean, again, don't feel like this is your only chance. We're going to be doing this kind of thing daily for a little while, and I'll just type into the chat window you know, it's just Sam at Axle.ai, Patrice at Axle.ai, and we really do you know, fully expect to hear from folks. It's not this is not a one-time deal. So hang on a sec, just bring up the chat.
I think we have addressed all the questions.
Yep. No, really fantastic. So listen, go check out the site. enjoy and give us your feedback also. So far, the feedback has been pretty highly positive, but we also fully expect that people will bump into glitches or things that they wish were better. And that's when we love hearing from you. You know, we've staffed up not only in the marketing side, but also in the engineering side, and we'll continue to do so. So I think you're going to see more improvements there as well as we keep beefing up the engineering team. And thanks for all the great compliments in the
Yeah.
chat windows. So, all right, well, have a great day, everybody, and really look forward to hearing more as you explore and get involved. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.